Hello, everybody. I got my cat Nimbus over off to the side here, and he keeps nudging my cell phone off its tripod because he wants head scritches. There we go. The feed is going.
Well, let's delay the show, and we'll come back.
Yeah, we will come back. We'll see if Nimbus walks over here and makes an appearance, but he's definitely all about headbutting. This tripod stands no chance for Mr. Nimbus. Not a chance. So, thanks for joining us today.
From Rick and Morty. All right.
What is it from?
Rick and Morty reference, Mr. Nimbus. It's the arch rival of Rick Sanchez, but you never really watched the show, Brian.
No. This Mr. Nimbus has been around longer than that character, Mr. Nimbus. So
okay,
let's just be,
such a good show, Brian. I'm surprised you have not seen that. I mean, it went off the rails. I won't get into the last season, but just the first 6 seasons were pretty legendary. You're missing out.
I watched an episode or two, and I just it didn't catch me in the way that it would have needed to for me to continue binging it. I didn't say I hated it. It didn't quite grab me. And that's what they say with art. I was recently at a large art show. It was really a community-wide sale, all sorts of hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of street vendors, and then knick-knack shop vendors, resellers, and stuff. But with all of the cool artwork, something is going to just jump out at you. If you're looking for things to hang up in the office or at the house or in the workshop, or just you're out anyway and you're a fan of whatever, artwork just speaks to you. There's maybe no rhyme or reason to it. You like the colors, you like the shapes, you like the brands, you like the scene, you just like the mood of the imagery. It's kind of the same with a lot of things. Just you gravitate to what you gravitate to. And I think that's right. But thank you for joining us today. It's Tuesday, July 2nd, 2024. My name is Brian Engelman. This is the Agree to Disagree show on the New American Media. Thanks for finding us. This is Blake Walley. Blake Walley is at TV's Blake Walley, Walley. That would be over on the X platform. Make sure you are following him because Blake, how do you describe your X activity? You have Exflares over there? Used to be tweet storms. Now they're Exflares. I've coined them Exflares, unless somebody predates me.
I don't know. I like to have fun and troll, and I do a lot of lurking. I do spend a lot of time there, but I'm not always promoting or what have you. So, but I think trolling's my favorite thing. But then I get punished for that. I get shadow banned. I get blocked. I get my replies hidden under emo replies or what have you. It's annoying, but I do enjoy some of the engagement, even if it's hostile.
Yes.
It gets me pumped, right? It gets me more livened up.
Well, our X feed at American_media_ for the New American Media at American_media_. It's a really nice way to kind of follow what's going on and toss a bunch of opinions out there to consider. It's hard to say this is the news. This is the perspective. This is the viewpoint. There's a lot of different angles to consider. And I think just kind of putting that stuff in the right accounts, like, yours over there at TV's Blake Walley and at American_media_. It's an ongoing conversation, Blake, to try to unpack and figure out what's actually happening in the world. We get disinformation and misinformation. But I would say over the years, you and I have a pretty strong batting average compared to a lot of the other sources that some people still claim are legitimate or trustworthy, right?
Oh, absolutely. I would put my stuff up against just about anybody in this industry, left, right, center. I'm not saying it's all good. I'm just saying, probably 90-95% maybe, which compared to the average legacy media, which is probably 60-70%. They get all the credit, but I've got a track record. I've done well over 1,000 shows. I've been in there for about 12 years, so I've had some misses, but I'm always I try to get things right. I'm not, I'm independent. I don't really fit into any particular category. I just call it like I see it.
Exactly. I think there's a strong value to that. You could, bog yourself down with air quote experts and inside sources, or you could just kind of use your bullshit meter and figure out, like, is this remotely possibly accurate? Is this something? I don't know, but some people have a nose for the news and others do not. But here on the Agree to Disagree show, we open the conversation up to you, and we offer your commentary back to us. Please leave your comments in the chat. Today's question of the day, of course, how do you feel about the Supreme Court, what they've been tossing out at us in this this ruling season for 2024? They're definitely weighing in on some very important cases. And in today's episode, it really, to me, appears that the Supreme Court verdicts have set the sights on the deep state Democrat apparatus that's been working outside of the scope of their official duties in these politically, in the positions they've held politically. The amount of effery, I can't believe I edited that word, but the amount of extracurricular criminal activity that's been going on is beyond rampant, beyond obvious, and beyond the scope of a normal political campaign or an elected official. If you're elected dog catcher, your job is to kind of maintain some sort of animal situation in your city, transport and care and whatnot. It doesn't involve all of the things that have nothing to do with your role of keeping the government moving. And we'll talk about that. We're going to unpack that on today's show. I think it's a very significant change. We're also going to ask, is this the end of the road for resident Biden? Blake, nice job putting the P in brackets there. Resident Biden. And by the way, Jill Biden, I think she's the one. She's the puppet master right now, controlling this whole charade. We'll see how it goes. We're also going to ask about Joe, speaking of the Bidens. Should he do a sit-down interview to prove that he's worthy? That's where we cut to the gif of Wayne's World. We're not worthy. We're not worthy. Also, Joe Biden's debate. Was that a surprise to anybody at the legacy media? Once again, we're talking about batting average. We'll break down who these people are that have been gaslighting you for 7 years and probably for all time about all of the important things. It's time you disconnect from the liars and join people like Blake and I. So we'll talk about that. Also, would it be easier for President Trump to beat Biden than an alternative? And I know the alternative is like the field. When you're in gambling, it's like, I'll pick this one thing, or I'll take any other potentiality and call it the field. That's a good question. Blake, I'm curious to get your thoughts on that. And I don't know which article you've cited or comment, but I'm curious to unpack it. But I think there's a couple perspectives on that. So we'll talk about that. And also, Democrats, are they stuck with Kamala? Are they stuck with her because of campaign cash? Or are they stuck with Kamala because they're a victim of their own race baiting agenda that has painted the world into a very strange corner of their own wacky design that doesn't really work anywhere in the world except in their own wacky design? It's kind of like, kudos to you. You made your bed, now lay in it. Good luck with that. Also, should Supreme Court of the United States, we were talking about them earlier, but should they be impeached for their immunity ruling? Mm-hmm. Also, will the Democrats start a war and suspend the elections? Nothing else they've done has worked. Like, what is their final black swan opportunity to try to stage yet another coup over us, the American people, who just want things to kick ass again? Finally, the alternative media, Blake, talking about you and I and the New American Media and Next Level News, etc. The alternative media, have they been exploited and taken over? That's actually a good question, because if so, maybe there's room for the New American Media to jump in and really establish a foothold for, I don't know, I don't like any of you guys. I don't like your funders, your financiers. I don't like your stunts. I don't like your crap. I don't like your interpersonal politics. And I don't want to get engaged in a flame war with you guys on the sides and spend all of my time sniping at each other. I just want to stay focused on the things that I don't like so I can build a world that I do like. So maybe there's a chance for the New American Media. By the way, that should be clipped off in a little segment. Make that go viral. Thank you very much. All right, all of these stories and more will be back on today's episode for July 2nd, 2024 on the Agree to Disagree show. Yeah. Thank you so much for joining us on the Agree to Disagree show today. First topic here, Blake. What say you? We'll get to the Supreme Court, but I mean, all of these stories are kind of tangentially related. We could start anywhere, but let's start here. Blake, agree or disagree that this is the end of the road for resident Biden?
Yes, I agree. And it seems that, a lot of people are also coming to that conclusion. Democrats were panicking immediately following the debate, but then they seemed to kind of turn things around, and maybe they were going to come back together, and Obama put out a supportive tweet. And then all of a sudden it seemed like you saw, a bunch break off. They can't really think for themselves, and they're afraid to speak on their own opinions. They just go along with the collective. So anyway, it seems like they've gone back and forth, but whatever the party's going to go with.
It's kind of, was that a disingenuous tweet, a disingenuous ex-post from Obama while he's behind the scenes actively fighting to replace and have a brokered convention, kind of toss it wide open and put his significant other in there? It's the speculation. Is he being two-faced right now?
Yeah, it appears to be. He's been called out for that, and Tucker Carlson called that one out. A few people have been, questioning that and saying that this is, they're saying one thing, but then behind the scenes, there's another thing. So I would assume that they are preparing to move on from Joe Biden, but it's not as easy as it seems to dump him. And, there's some resistance and pushback from within, especially from his wife, Jill.
Yeah, she appears to be the main puppet master right now. It's really something to watch. It's sad. It's pathetic. It's manipulative. It's been, successful, although this is a house of cards and it is coming down. We know that none of this is legitimate. Everything we've been told for years has been just a complete gaslit lie. But it is something to watch Jill continue to get out there and work with a dog that just won't hunt.
Right. Well, she's finally arrived. She's finally she's in the White House. She loves the attention of being the first lady, and now all she's got to do is try to get her husband to manage to stay, I don't know, somewhat together, and she can milk another 4 years out of this. But I don't know if that's going to be possible. So as much as
who was the recent, I'm sorry, not recent, but I believe it was Woodrow Wilson. He suffered a stroke, and I believe it was his wife that essentially ran the administration from that point forward, and they just kind of kept it low key. And we all know Woodrow Wilson, all the debauchery in 1913, all the Jekyll Island stuff and World War I. Like, Woodrow Wilson was one of the worst we've ever seen. And I'm curious now to go back. I don't remember everything from history with a razor sharp focus, but I wonder how many of the super bad or the worst decisions were handled by his wife. So I'm very curious if anyone has any knowledge of that. Please type something into the comments or the chat. I'd love to, toss any random information about the Woodrow Wilson administration being run by his wife after the stroke. And if there's any other case in U.S. history that you are familiar of, that this reminds you of, where Jill Biden is trying to run the show. Biden dragged along on the puppet strings. It's very strange, Blake. Moments of lucidity, but good grief, this is just a mess.
Well, I think he was definitely manipulated by the bankers, and he was the one that put through the Federal Reserve. So that was on his watch, and they wanted it to happen. And of course, the bankers, they engineered a bank panic, 1907, and then kind of paved the way for that, the Federal Reserve System, fiat money. But I'm sure that's kind of a case where this was being run by a committee behind the scenes, and not just the president. The buck didn't stop with the president. There were people that were handling them, and perhaps his wife to some extent too. I'm not sure about that, Brian, but you could be right.
Well, we have a couple Joe-related topics. Next one being about should he do a sit-down interview. So I don't know if you had any more on this particular part about this being the end of Biden. That's different from the sit-down interview suggestion. But we got a few that are, it's all the Joe story, watching it crumble in real time. It's glorious because, we shared on X a post. I'm trying to remember who originated it, so I can't attribute it properly, but go back in the timeline. I'm not claiming I invented this, but it's just a reminder. Don't feel bad for this doddering old man at the end stages of dementia. This is a really bad guy. This is, by all accounts, with Ashley in the shower, with Burisma, the money laundering, the creepiness of who Hunter's become. This is a gross family that is in, and that was what? Like, Jill Biden was Hunter's babysitter? Is that, do I understand that part of the story correct?
I believe so, without getting it too far into that. She's not like the biological mother of Hunter or Bo. I'm not sure about Ashley. If I remember, I think she was like the 15-year-old babysitter.
Okay, so
the original mother died in a car wreck.
So
people say a suspicion on that too. I don't want to get too far into the weeds, but yeah, there's something very wrong about this family.
There's something off with this entire family, just like there's something off with the entire Obama family, and just like there's something off with the entire Clinton family. There is something off with these families, like very, very off. And of course, Bush is a different kind of off. I mean, go back through the Central Intelligence Agency with Daddy Bush, and through how many decades are we talking about that Bush sphere of influence? That's a whole different level. But the Democrats do the debaucherous stuff. The Republicans do the sneaky deep state stuff. I don't know. It's all blurred together in sorts of weird. But yeah, the point of the X tweet that I was referencing was just that in light of all this, don't feel bad for this guy. This is a very, very bad guy. He is a very bad guy whose time is finally coming, and we should just be excited for that fact. And we don't let up, and we're not cutting him an ounce of slack. So I think that's a good point to keep in mind here. So where did you want to take the rest of this, Blake? You have the stories.
There's a lot of different stories. I don't have to go too far beyond the headlines. We kind of stick to the highlights here. But this one I pulled up here, Tucker Carlson says the Dems' public support of Biden is fake and is naming the key force behind a president's re-election campaign, which is looks like Obama. It says Obama's tweet supporting Joe Biden was disingenuous, which Carlson wrote on X. And in private, Obama's telling people that Biden can't win and is therefore in favor of an open convention.
There it is.
Big
there
deal.
It is. Open convention. And he's going to try to slide one in.
Yeah.
Will that be Michelle Obama, a.k.a. his significant other?
That could be. It's going to be an interesting. There are a few different choices. Certainly that one's close to home and would be ideal if Big Mike or Michelle is up for that. And I just don't. I mean, she's very carefully crafted, very introverted. I don't see her. She doesn't want to do it. I think she's mentioned that she would if they had to, if they needed to.
By the way, right. let me just press pause here for a second. Could you imagine America surviving a fourth Barack Hussein Obama administration? This third one with Biden on the puppet strings has been an unmitigated, traitorous disaster. Could we potentially survive a fourth Barry term? I couldn't even fathom this country. This country is whipping back so far away from the radical Democrat deep state agenda. It's stunning. It should be a full sweep. Clean the House, clean the Senate, clean the White House. I mean, it's going to be a massive tidal wave, Blake. There just isn't support for their wacky line of governance, but they're right there trying for a fourth Obama term. It's stunning to think they're going to try it again, and just how bad things would get if they actually got keys to the kingdom for yet another term. It'd be disastrous.
Well, yeah, I get it, but there's going to be a lot of brainwashed, deluded Democrats that would embrace that. They'd love to have Obama's back in the White House. So, but I mean, yeah, if they grant blanket amnesty to all of the people that have come over the border in the last few years and everybody else that comes in the next few, and stack the Supreme Court or, push forth the agenda they want, yeah, then they could absolutely stay in power indefinitely. So yes, it wouldn't be the America we knew, but yeah, I guess it would go on in some twisted dystopian capacity.
Right.
Bad news. But yeah, I mean, we do know Biden's done. The only question, this is from Tucker Carlson here, if they're smart, they'll do it immediately. And if Kamala's going to be the nominee, she might as well be the president first. And that leaves the question of Trump and his sentencing on July 11th. But this has since been pushed back. So that is kind of one of the breaking news stories that happened.
Tell me about that. What got pushed to when?
His sentencing date has been pushed from July to September based on the latest Supreme Court ruling.
Oh, they're going to take their time to review how much of this was in the purview of his administrative abilities or his administrative duties. And essentially, these are all going to get wiped away, right?
I don't know what's going to happen at this point. I don't think anybody does. And it's a dangerous game is what a lot of people are saying here.
It really is.
So they were trying to sentence him right before the RNC, basically taking him off the field. But as Tucker's saying, if you're going to be putting him in jail, you got to assume that maybe even Trump is the presumptive president. And if they're going to put him in jail, it better be for a very serious crime that everyone agrees he committed. Otherwise, they risk destroying the system. And Democrats need to pull back. Now, they're just pushing it down to September. So, I mean, if they're going to jail him either way and he was to, win, then what happens? You can't have the president in jail. The whole system is destroyed. It's a big mess. Of the Democrats making, but they don't have a lot of options. It's a desperate option, but they don't have a legitimate contender right now.
No, their policies are trash, and nobody wants what they're selling. It doesn't matter who the delivery mechanism is. I mean, it doesn't matter who you roll inside the tub of toothpaste and twist from the end to go blurp, just to burp onto your toothbrush each day. It doesn't matter if it's Kamala. It doesn't matter if it's Biden. Changing them is not going to change. We've been tweeting out for I don't know how long, for years. We already oppose whoever they replace Obama with. God, I said Obama. We already oppose whoever they replace Biden with. It doesn't matter. This isn't about Biden. This is about this Democrat deep state and just a nonstop policy list of train wrecks, disasters, and treason. There's bad ideas and then there's traitorous ideas. Like they have all bad ideas, and a lot of them are just straight up trying to sabotage this country's success. And if there's one thing that should not be tolerated, I mean, most people just want to live their life and not get involved in political back and forths. But the problem is when the Democrat deep state apparatus keeps coming after people and attacking them, the regular people do line up shoulder to shoulder and say, if you do that to them, you're doing that to us because we assume you're coming after us next. We're drawing a line in the sand and we're not taking this shit anymore. And the Supreme Court, it feels like the parents have come back home. They left the kids. We're going to go up to Aunt so-and-so's and in the Upper Catskills. We're going to go into Upper New York, or we're going to go to the Peninsula in Michigan. We're going to go up to the cabin. You guys take care of yourself for a couple of days? Oh, yeah, Mom, we'll be okay. We'll take care of ourselves. You know what? They start throwing a rager. They invite a bunch of idiots over. They start causing damage. They start stealing stuff. Uninvited people are showing up. They're taking your things. You know what? You're watching it all, and you go, okay. And you come back one day early and bust them in the middle of it. And it's feeling more and more like the Supreme Court has just given the absolute green light to say, bust them. You've caught them in the middle of it. There is such a difference now because there's a clean mark of delineation between your official capacities and your elected role. Because nobody could be president if they're going to be lawfared to death. They're going to be stuck in court all day. You got to do the job. But when you're doing all of the obvious, overt criminal activity in conjunction with the deep state, Supreme Court just came home as the parents and said, brother, you are not only grounded, we're going to talk tomorrow. Wait till you hear what we got in store for you. And it's one of those, you go to bed without the whooping, but you don't sleep that night because you can't stop thinking of just how bad it's about to get. So I have hope. This ruling gives me an immense amount of hope because I think the Supreme Court just gave the green light to go after all of these crooked traders who have been trying to intentionally ruin this money for their own ill-gotten gains.
Okay, well, Brian, I don't know if you want to just transition to that because you have made that the headline story of the day. All I can really say, I can just make a few, other headlines here, just showing that it's coming from different angles, different insiders, that this administration is in trouble. Whether that's even from Jamie Raskin, Dems having a serious, conversation about what they're going to do. You got Gretchen Whitmer. Seems like she's lobbying behind the scenes to be the nominee. Got Bill O'Reilly claims the decision has already been made to ditch Biden in the Democratic Party. It's over for Joe. What else do we have? Got CNN data reporter admits he's never seen worse numbers for an incumbent president. And they've gotten considerably worse in light of the disastrous debate. Here's your Gretchen Whitmer backpedaling furiously after reports claimed she told Biden he's going to lose Michigan. Now she's flip-flopping. Yeah, the whole apparatus can't quite get on the same page because they know he's got to go, but then publicly they want to prop him up. But then behind the scenes, they know he's damaged goods.
You know what this is, Blake?
Yeah.
Here's a great analogy. I haven't heard anyone make yet. But how about this? What you see happening now to Joe Biden and the Democrat Party, this is what happened with the Los Angeles Clippers and Donald Sterling. By the way, that looks really interesting. Someone did a documentary or a mini movie, a couple of shows. It's got Al Bundy in it, and he's playing the role of Donald Sterling. I saw a couple episode commercials for it, and I want to see it. I know it's not Al Bundy, but I couldn't remember his name. What is his name?
Ed O'Neill.
Thank you. Jeez, yes, Ed O'Neill. But this is what happened. They smelled blood in the water. The rest of the NBA did. The rest of the potential league owners. They saw an opportunity. They're getting rid of Ballmer. Ballmer ended up becoming the new owner. But they knew they were getting rid of Donald Sterling. Creepy old guy, proclivities for debauchery and stuff. I mean, there's quite a bit of overlap there. But point being made is there's a lot of investment teams that are lining up right now to try to take over that Democrat Party. They see it wide open, and they're trying to build a coalition. Remember, that's exactly what they did. Nobody supported Kamala Harris and Joe Biden until it was brokered behind the scenes. All right, Pete Buttigieg, back out, and then we're going to make you a transportation secretary. But guys, I don't know what that is. Doesn't matter. It's not like anything bad happens on trains or in the air. Okay, I'll take it. They did that behind the scenes, and in 1 week, they had consolidated that party down. That is happening right now. There is no way Biden survives this. No way. But that's the good question here. Would it be easier for Trump to beat Biden than it would be to beat the alternative? What about that one? Because that might be the question of the day. I think it would be easiest to beat Biden, so maybe just let him sit there as long as possible. I think maybe just gaslight them back and say, you know what, he kind of started a sentence and he lost track and he's thinking about 100 things. He's old, but you've heard him say the same stuff 100 times. He's whatever. He's capable enough. It's not that big a deal. We should gaslight them back for how they gaslit us. We should pretend that we don't see any sort of catastrophe. I feel like that's the only way to make people learn their lessons sometimes, but maybe I'm just being a prick.
Well, I don't know, but this is Steve Bannon, who just unfortunately got sent to jail for contempt of Congress for not attending that BS charade J6 unselect committee, whatever they want to call it. Knew that it was stacked against him. Didn't show up, claimed presidential immunity, but didn't matter. They're still putting him in jail in Connecticut. He went in, I believe, yesterday, right? So that's too bad. He took a major piece off the chessboard, but will continue to fight for this election. So we have Biden bowing out of the race could hurt Trump. Steve Bannon warns that he's the best guy we're ever going to get. And yes, it should be an easy victory for Trump if it stays Trump versus Biden. I think people already see that. Poll numbers are crashing. You're not going to get a lot of support for Biden, for people to get out and vote. But if they could find the right candidate that could reinvigorate the base and get people excited to go at least vote against Trump, then they have a better chance, I would say. I think it's pretty obvious, than just continuing to roll with Biden, especially if he has any more setbacks, which I'm sure he will. He's already had a number of them. In fact, that's also something in my stack. Biden had 15, 20 episodes of cognitive decline in the last year, according to CIA Carl Bernstein, or the former whistleblower, the legendary journalist from Watergate. But anyway, I digress.
Woodward and Bernstein. Yeah, they're trotted out from time to time. They're a bunch of hacks, flacks, and lackeys, Blake, I tells you.
Yes, some of the OGs.
And by the way, that Watergate story was a nothing burger. Look at what Obama has done. Look at how they weaponized the Justice Department and all of the alphabet agencies to spy on candidate and President Trump, to frame, to jail, to delete President Trump. These people are out of their damn minds, and they need to surrender their positions of power immediately. And it's time to actually turn the tables on this stuff. But yeah, best guy they're ever going to get. I would slow walk replacing Biden. I would gaslight him right back. Like, yeah, he was okay. It wasn't that big of a deal. I feel like Republicans should really chill out. Conservatives, libertarians should just really start pretending we didn't see what we saw. You did not see what I thought you saw. It does not mean what you think it means. Inconceivable! Inconceivable! Name the movie, folks. Name the movie. So, yeah, from Biden to Bidet. Well, they're flushing him down, that's for sure. Did we touch on this about Joe? Should he do a sit-down interview to prove he's worthy? Did we hit that one yet?
We did not.
Let's go to that one, because everything today's all about Joe and the Supreme Court. And really, the Supreme Court, that the whole point of the title is just the overarching. I think the entire rule book has changed today. And it is so significant. We'll start unpacking it in the future episodes, but I think just the point of what just happened, I think it should dominate with the title today. But yeah, today really is all about Joe and what's going to come next. And Joe is so done. He is so toast. But we're going to pretend that he's doing pretty good, actually. And, he won 81 million last time. It's like he might even be more popular this time around now that people have seen 4 years of his agenda working. I mean, the inflation isn't really that bad. It's, jobs have come back. He's a great jobs creator. Blake, I'm telling you, it would be Crazyville trying to repeat their talking points with a straight face to them and watch them try to understand what that means. I think that's going to be my new favorite thing. I've decided that might be my new favorite thing, to gaslight them back about talking up Joe Biden and his accomplishments. I'm going to do it. I'm in. I'm all in. I hope you enjoy this new character, because I'm telling you on future episodes, people, I am going to keep doing this because, man, it's cracking me up. It is so funny to my soul to try this new character. So anyway, go ahead. As you were.
That would be fun to set up an alt account and, yes, just
go get some of that Krasenstein money.
Yeah, all those influencers seem to have either dirt on them or, yeah, they're collecting money. There's something wrong with each of them. And those guys were like big time scammers, I guess, like 20 years ago. Like they had gotten in trouble, I believe, for like federal crimes.
Federal crimes? Yeah. Inconceivable.
Right. So my idea is that they probably had to make a deal somewhere.
Yeah,
that would explain a lot how they can be so dishonest in a way. They do very careful of trying to look like they're being respectable journalists, but they're obviously clearly leftist.
What type of deal do you think Jack Black cut to go out and try to raise excitement for Joe Biden right before he crapped the bed on national TV.
I hope there's nothing there, and he's just doing it as a favor for some of his friends. Like he was kind of saying, George Clooney recruited him, and I'm sure he's pretty compromised. I like Jack Black too much. I don't want to think about him doing anything.
All right. I like him too. I met him, and I like Tenacious D and all that jazz. It's just like who could actually play the role of Democrat defenseman in the next 140 days? Like, could you imagine? Yes, Jane, Princess Bride.
Are we getting that old, Brian? I guess we are. Maybe a lot of people don't get those references. So
what? No, listen, my references, Blake, for the record, my references are timeless. They are pristine. They are witty. They're cogent. They're clever. They're insightful, and it really helps kind of tell the mosaic. It really helps us define the tale a little bit more richly because we're able to take a pop culture experience and weave it into the events of today. Much like my favorite pastors growing up, my favorite pastors behind the pulpit, they would say, I was at the barbecue last weekend and so-and-so, their kid was over and he was jumping into the lake and swinging off of this thing. And then this thing happened and it got me thinking, blah, 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 blah. It's kind of like over here in chapter verse this and blah, blah, blah. See, what they were going through is similar to what happened here. And there's a parallel to be drawn. Like, that's why I liked going to church, like when they could relate it to something, omnipresence, understandable. But you're saying all of my references are obscure. I tell you, sir, anything that's obscure is just highlighting your unculturedness. So I digress, but that's an indictment on you, not me, good sir. Challenge.
Well, I would consider Princess Bride one of the top movies of all time, so everyone should get the reference.
Okay, good point.
I don't know if a lot of the Zoomers and things are they aware of that movie or not. Good question, but I don't think we don't have a Zoomer audience anyway.
Hello, Blake. My name is Brian Engelman.
Right.
You offended my honor. Prepare to die.
There you go.
I took fencing in college. It was one of my favorite classes ever. So I digress.
Really?
Okay. So Biden's handlers, where are we at here? What are we talking about? Calming him down, sitting him down, laying him down, taking him down. Jane Meyer says her family only speaks in movie lines now. Yeah, it's weird. Our text conversations have kind of devolved into Egyptian Egyptian doodlings. We use all these little emojis, and it's like I'm doing this hieroglyphics. Just our mode of communication has gone from movie quotes and emojis. That's it. Oh, and what we do here at the Agree to Disagree show, we pontificate and we bloviate. We definitely bloviate. Often I don't even know how I'm going to finish a sentence when I start it, but maybe that's why I give Biden a little bit of leeway there, because I totally know what it's like to start down a road and go, hang on, where am I going? Oh, yeah, that's right. That's right. I get it together quite a few times, but I've definitely been known to veer into the off-roading path without the correct suspension on my setup. So anyway, I digress. Okay, go ahead.
Okay. Oh, we were talking about.
I don't know where we are.
So here's an experiment or a possibility. Biden's handlers consider having him sit down interview so we can prove that he can talk properly. But would that really win anybody over? And would they be able to do it uncut? Could he really sit down and answer questions that he's not prepared for? So we saw him at the CNN debate. He was in Camp David for over a week preparing for the debate. There were probably zero surprises during the debate on all the questions that they asked. So if you were preparing somebody for a debate, those would be like the general questions they would have handled on probably day one, the major issues of the day.
And by the way, let's just mention this again, because I think I like the redemption arc of the Judeo-Christian country that we were founded as, at least in theory, where you don't have to be perfect, but like the Jesus Christ component of the redemption arc is that you can find grace, you can find salvation by kind of accepting Jesus, your Lord and Savior, and kind of, like, hey, I haven't been perfect, but like I'd like to join this team and be a part of this. And you know, I want to say that there's, at least for that one night, there was a bit of a redemption arc that's worthy of praise and it's worthy of notation. CNN did a very good job asking questions, staying out of the way, and just letting the debate shine for the words of the two candidates involved in it. And for just such a trash company and trash organization, just a complete clown show. CNN, MSNBC, Fox to a certain degree with all their deep state stuff. They put on a very good debate, Blake. They gave him.
All right, well, I disagree that it's a redemption arc. They had, one good moment in that debate where they stayed out of the way, and
Right,
it could have been because they were setting him up to fail too. So we don't know. So
okay,
before we
you're
go,
not saying that
CNN might be coming back now. I think they found their integrity again. I'm gonna go listen to the Caitlin Collins show to get my news. Anderson Cooper, because they have seen the light. Dana Bash, right?
I don't disagree with you. Look, I think it might be even more likely that they only did that to get Biden out of the way, to kneecap him. Okay, fine. But once again, Blake, this is me gaslighting to talk about the thing that didn't happen, and I'm going to ignore the thing that did. This is me pretending that we didn't see what we saw. But I did enjoy how the way that debate turned out. It was the exact opposite of Chris Wallace just punching at Trump the whole time. He was debating three people. It was so stupid. Anyway, I was just trying to give some kudos, and Blake's like, no, you can't give kudos. That was a hit job, and you know it. They're not good. They're pretending they're just.
I don't know if it's a hit job. I'm just saying that was one thing. That was for an hour and a half. They stood out of the way, and they had a decent debate. But to say that anything's changed with their network, no way. Not yet. Not buying it.
Okay. So do you think it's more of a soft coup that's happening is where we're at?
Well, I think some would see it that way. I mean, they put him in a position to succeed, and he still floundered, flopped. It was bad. Even with all the help in the world, people can outrage all they want about. I guess the moderators were supposed to push back on Trump because of all the lies, but there were a lot of lies on each side. I think they got out of the way and they let the guys talk and make their points, and then we can look at it later and do the fact check. But anyway, that's kind of how I would see it. But praise tonight, but that was temporary. And I'm not, not like they're on my shit list today or anything. I'm just saying that I'd have a lot more. I need to see a lot more before I'm ready to think that CNN has come around. But if they said, yeah, we're just going to go back to headline news, get rid of the opinions, that would be a change. But
that might be watchable again. Okay, so
right.
That's about the interview to sit down and prove that he's worthy. We talked about easier to beat than Biden, easier to beat than the field. We also covered this one about the poor debate not being a surprise to legacy media, or like essentially we covered that, or did you have one in particular you wanted to hit for that?
I mean, I don't think there should not have been a surprise. And I think they absolutely knew that there were problems with Biden, and they didn't say anything about it. And there was actually, let me pull up. There's a good, I think Greg Gutfeld nailed it with a tweet a few days ago, which I will. All
right, go ahead and pull that up, Blake. While you look for it, I'll just remind people, if you want to support Blake and his independent media, make sure you're following him in all the places. That's on X at TV's Blake Walley. He's also at thenextlevelnews.com. And if you want to toss a couple of ducats his way, he's on Cash App. It's $ Blake W99. There you go. Go ahead, Blake.
All right. Actually, I would have more pleasure if people could help spread the show. I don't need the money so much, but when we get we'll worry about that.
You let me shill for you as much as I deem necessary, good sir. I intend to put ducats in your pocket, and I shall forever intend to put ducats into your pocket, sir. Thank you for contributing newsiness to the news.
Okay, fine. Thank you, Brian. I'll go to this tweet here. Greg Gutfeld saying, the media Democrat complex is reacting in horror over Joe's condition, not because they saw it. It's because you saw it. So nobody there had the balls to say, that Biden was in trouble until everybody finally realized it. They was in trouble, and then they could finally start admitting it. But that's how this media machine works.
It was like you had to get that crack in the ceiling. Like somebody had to be the first. Nobody wanted to be the first to do it, but once. Yeah, but it's weird. I feel like there's a lot of people who are now saying, oh my God, if they've been lying to us this long about this guy, what else are they lying about? I feel like the mask is off. The curtain has been moved back at the end of The Wizard of Oz. I don't think you can unscramble these eggs. I think people feel betrayed in a way that is once in a lifetime. I've never seen the exposure of a gaslighting, an ongoing, ridiculous, destructive, dangerous, expensive gaslighting campaign like the past 16 years that we've seen with Obama at the helm, with the deep state running things into the ground behind the scenes. It feels like such a cataclysmic movement, a moment in time that's just monumental, Blake.
Yeah, absolutely. And we saw everything change last Thursday. There's a great tweet from Elon Musk even calling out the media. They repeated the same line with the exact same words. Just is disturbing. Legacy news not merely fake, but also unoriginally fake. And here's a great video from Matt Orfalea. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, but not many people have. In fact, he makes a joke of it at the end of this video. But friend of Matt Taibbi and does some great video editing work. And here's one of them. We won't play all of this because a lot of it's repeat, but it's interesting just to see the different voices of the controlled media saying the exact same line. And you hear sharp as a tack over and over and over.
I love these compilations.
Version of Biden, intellectually, analytically, is the best Biden ever.
He is sharp, intensely probing, and detail-oriented and focused.
Intensely focused.
For example, we have 1,000 trillionaires in America. Billionaires in America.
This is a man who is sharp, who is on top of his game, who knows what's going on.
He's smart. He's on his game.
His mental acuity is great.
This is a very sharp president.
And the people that I've talked to say he's as sharp as a tack. He's fine.
They say he's sharp.
There's not a problem.
He was sharp. He was sharper than anyone I've spoken to.
The president is sharp, and he is...
He's laser focused right there, just deep in thought, coming up with a zinger that Donald Trump has no idea how to defend. Or not, he's just lost.
Tireless, he is sharp.
As sharp as ever.
And he's fine. All this right-wing propaganda that his mental acuity has declined is wrong.
His brain is good. He's still great.
He is sharp in meetings.
I believe the people who say that behind closed doors, Joe Biden remains sharp.
In meetings, Joe Biden is sharp.
He's sharp. He's fit.
There is nothing to these challenges, these suggestions that somehow he's not sharp. He's sharp as a tack.
And this goes on for another 5 minutes. But it's
I'm telling you, the compilation of what we just saw there, that's your 30-second ad. You do 25 seconds of that, and then the last part of it, you put on the screen and you have a voiceover saying, the Democrat Party has been lying about important, blah, blah, has been lying to you for years. They've lost their ability to govern. Fire them November. Like, they've lost the right to govern. Because this is not about Biden. This is about the apparatus that thought this was okay. Who in the hell is running our country, Blake?
Mysterious figures behind the scenes, apparently, and they control the media. And they bought off half of our Congress, probably, or probably a lot more.
So that's the Dave Chappelle, whoever they are.
Yeah, sounds good to me. But it certainly isn't Biden. He's just the figurehead, the puppet.
Tim saying Biden was just here visiting Murphy. All right. But I wonder if he knows that he was there visiting Murphy. That's the question. Blake, move to this one real quick, because the other thing that we know, the Democrats, it kind of feels like they might be stuck with Kenneth. Kenneth says Biden is sharp as a hack. A hack's flax and lackey. Sharp as a flack. Sharp as a lackey. Sharp as a lack.
That's well done.
Kenneth.
Right.
Kenneth is our resident wordsmith. We always appreciate his interjections.
His wordplay, right?
His comedic zings.
Wordsmithery. All right. Yes.
All right. Let's get back to Kamala real quick, Blake. Make the pivot here. Are the Democrats, do you agree or disagree that Democrats are now stuck with Kamala Harris because of campaign cash?
So this is kind of an interesting note here. So what would happen to Biden's campaign cash if he drops out? That's up to Kamala Harris. They say the campaign finance experts. They're saying Harris could use the tens of millions of dollars in Biden's campaign account if she became a Democratic nominee. So it's kind of like they have a joint account, like husband and wife. But if President Joe decides to step aside, so Kamala Harris would be in line to get first dibs on the campaign war chest. Biden has not given any indication that he will end his re-election bid. But in a scenario during a tense call between campaign aides and donors, they kind of came to this conclusion that Harris would control most of the money in the campaign account, which amounted to $91.2 million. And that appears to be correct. As a unique twist to it, still being part of the campaign to be considered from the get-go. And her name is listed on the FEC filings for the organization, the campaign's finance laws, blah, blah, blah. Both candidates are on one account. And she could continue to go on and use that money. But if she wasn't there, that would be a problem. Or if they changed, if they were to switch her, she would be able to use that money if she was the president, but not as the VP, and they replaced the top name with the ticket. That's the only way she would be able to access the funds. So the money is kind of locked up and tied to her. So they can't just use all those campaign finance, all the money that they made if he were to step down. So it's kind of makes it is an unusual twist of all of this.
Yeah, they're definitely locked into something, Blake. You know, that's the time has run them. It's painted them into the corner. You remember those sayings about paint yourself in the corner. Imagine painting the floor and you're like, oh crap, I don't have an exit strategy. You either walk over your work and mess it all up and just fix it later, or you got to wait for that paint to dry, and that's going to be a while. The Democrats are pretty much pot committed to whatever strategy they already have in place. But there are so many quirks and twists and legalities, and there's a lot to this election season, Blake, that they're not going to be able to change. Let me put it this way. With each passing day, the percentage likelihood that they're going to be able to make any sort of significant or monumental change decreases with each passing day. And so you just kind of have to figure out, like, if they are, what in the world are they waiting for? Are there advantages, and are they hamstrung at this point? They're just all their chips are in. They got nowhere else to go. They're just stuck here now.
Right. So that's going to be a big thing too. Is this what are they going to do with this $91 million if they convert it into a political action committee? They can only make a small maximum donation to other candidates. The Biden campaign can also refund donors' contributions. Hope that they get that $91 million back to the new candidate. But yeah, it's a messy. It's not quite as straightforward.
All right. Well, then we will keep our eyes peeled on Kamala. I mean, there's also that DEI thing that the Democrats invented and they feel so obsessed over. I mean, take me back to the 80s and 90s when we were taught Martin Luther King, and the component we focused on was don't judge a person by the content of their skin color. Don't judge a person by the content of their character, not because of their skin color. And I liked that mentality. I liked that message. The 80s, 90s, that was just kind of the way things were into the 2000s, I suppose. This DEI Obama stuff that's just so vitriolic, bitter, toxic, angry, divisive, manipulative, shady, thieverous. Thieverous? Is that a word? Thieving, conniving. You know, a lot of it is if I make a big enough stink, if I make a big enough accusation, I'm going to get paid. That was the Al Sharpton, the Jesse Jackson shakedown stuff, the Rainbow Push Coalition and that kind of thing. that was always there, but that was just kind of, it was a component of the background of the political scheme, but it didn't dominate. It wasn't holding on to the steering wheel and driving the bus. Now it has been. Since Obama's come to power, he's really grabbed that steering wheel and taken us into really dark, dangerous territory, really counterproductive territory where there's too much of a focus on things that you can't control, like skin color. Who cares? Are you a cool person or are you a jerk? Let me just start with that. Are you cool or a jerk? That's how I'm going to decide to determine if I care about you or if I don't. Do I like you? Do I think of you positively or do I not? That's based on your behavior. That's not based on anything that's out of your control. I can't choose my skin pigment any more than anyone else can. But what they've done with Kamala Harris is they've put I don't know, what is it? Jamaica, Haiti, Dominican. I don't know her specific breakdown with race. I don't particularly care, but she's referred to as a woman of color or a black or a half black woman in politics. I don't know the specifics. Remind me if you feel it's relevant. But the thought process is with the Democrats, you can't put a black woman as vice president and jump her with somebody white. You can't jump her with a man. It's like as if any of that has anything to do with anything, but they are now the victims of their own stupidity, their own divisive, ridiculous, toxic mindset from that deep state Democrat Obama party. Now they're stuck with a super incompetent, super unlikable hyena who appears to be medicated on some sort of cocktail.
Alcohol.
Using. It might be alcohol. It might be pills. It might just be that doesn't have all of the Fruit Loops inside of her box. But, well, I didn't want to say box. Darn it. Inside of her package. Container. Doggone it. Yeah, she couldn't put a breakfast together if she had all the ingredients necessary. So they're stuck.
One of those champagne brunches, right?
Yeah, champagne brunches.
Right.
Yeah. So, do you think that's something that's really playing a role here? That it comes down to what type of genitals do you have and how dark is the pigment in your skin? Is that how stupid the Democrat Party has become? They only care about irrelevant things? Because I consider what you're born with to be irrelevant. I consider your actions to be super relevant.
All right, well, we might be getting a little off the rails, but I will just say that it might be a problem if they want to put in a Gavin Newsom because they don't want to have another white man. Right, so that could work against them. Kamala, she's just not qualified. She's can't handle it, and she's less likable than Joe even. So regardless, whether she's an island girl or whatever, something's not right there, and she should not be up there. She's not capable.
Is there a
turn? Nobody wants her there, and she knows she can't handle the job.
Is there a turn of phrase that we could use and say she's unkamalified for the position?
Sure.
Because that's pretty close to unqualified, right? Unkamalified for the position.
Okay, fair enough. We'll roll with it.
I think that's decent. I feel like we could package a nice joke, a nice bumper sticker, a nice X post. Unkamalified for the position.
All right. Well, there you go. You can get that trending.
All right,
Brian.
Let's get to SCOTUS. This was kind of a toss in with the other component here. Should we impeach SCOTUS for their immunity ruling? We got another wacky Democrat member spouting off some silliness, as you would expect, after she had a really weird, awkward, cringy meltdown on stage. What was that, last week, Blake? I mean, she's running around like she's in the Beastie Boys. It was so cringy. I don't know if you saw that from AOC or not.
No, I did not. I don't think maybe
super cringe.
Blurred together with all the other insanity. But
she's trying to go with emotion in a group that had no people there and had no emotion there. It is a losing task to try to defend these Democrats, man. Just there is zero energy for this nonsense.
Yeah, I suppose so. AOC threatening to file impeachment articles following the Supreme Court immunity ruling.
That's great.
So yes, AOC. Supreme Court has been, this is her quote, the Supreme Court has been consumed by a corruption crisis beyond its control. Today's ruling represents an assault on American democracy It's up to Congress to defend our nation from this authoritarian capture. And I've seen a few of these. This kind of contradicts the idea. Do these people not know what democracy is? By its definition, it's majority rule, which is exactly what the Supreme Court just did. It's a majority rule. So they want to. I don't understand what their assault on democracy. They should be liking this.
They don't even know what the phrase means. They just use it because they think it's what you're supposed to say. I don't think they even know. They're getting the script, someone's writing it, but they don't even know what they mean by what they're saying. They just think it's what people that are riled up and fed up might want to hear, Blake. That's what I think.
Yeah, it's just a mindless buzzword they keep throwing out there, but just like insurrection.
Yeah, say a lie big enough, eventually people will start to believe it. Yeah, so AOC is calling for that, and we're calling for AOC to be voted out immediately. She's so goofy. She's fun to keep around as like a, I don't know, comedic relief. But really, I think it's time to separate Thanksgiving dinner into the kids' table and the adults' table. I think the adults need to kind of take control here, and kids can go downstairs and eat. You know, you go sit in the playroom. We got to have an adult conversation up here. So AOC, goodbye.
Yeah, she's out of her league, out of her element, and needs to go back to bartending or something.
Right.
Okay.
Well, final topic here, Blake. Agree or disagree that the...
Oh, wait, did we really finish the Supreme Court thing? Did you... I know that was kind of like your breaking headline thing. Is there any particular thing that you're thinking about this?
Yeah, I mentioned it twice in the course of kind of covering what happened with the presidential immunity, that official acts in your capacity of elected official, like that, you're covered under immunity. But it's the extracurricular activities, aka criminal activities, that the laundry list of what was going on to broker private data sales and private, whether it's Burisma, whether it's Uranium One, whether you could go down the entire list of all the criminal activity that these people did outside of the scope. There is no scope that's going to define the criminal illicit activity of Obama, Biden, Clinton. What they did, it has now been clearly delineated by the Supreme Court to say this is covered under your official capacity in that job position. These other things, you are wide open to be indicted for. Congratulations. Thanks for making us clarify this in advance. And now the hammer of justice is about to come down upon you with the fiercest of swingings. So, yes, Blake, that's my reading the tea leaves of what just occurred there based on the analysis as I've been able to determine. Would you agree or disagree with that analysis, or just say it's too early to tell?
Well, I hope there's a positive outcome. I understand that there's, a lot of people are freaking out or celebrating. I'm not really sure what to think about that. Yeah, so the Supreme Court ruled that Trump has absolute immunity for his core constitutional powers, and that former presidents are entitled to at least a presumption of immunity for their official acts, but ruled there is no immunity for unofficial acts. And that could have some, well, it already did cause a delay with the Alvin Bragg trial in New York, but also you've got Jack Smith's DC case against Trump delayed again. So, but they also made the mention, Clarence Thomas is calling out whether Jack Smith's appointment is even constitutional because he was just like a civilian.
Yeah, he was never officially put into that position. He doesn't really belong where he is, much like Joe Biden.
Right. Come from the Senate or to be approved by the Senate, but he wasn't. So he's got no standing here.
Yeah.
Anyway,
it's very interesting. Like you said, they're pausing everything to kind of push it back a couple months to see, none of this holds. Like none of this. They've been specifically told by the Supreme Court to go back, and we want you to re-review what you just did, and we want you to come back to us if you think that you're really not under the umbrella of what we just told you you may and may not do. I don't know that they're going to be able to survive that level of gaslighting to go back to the Supreme Court with no case and say, no, we believe we did this within our purview, to get smacked down by the Supreme Court and publicly excoriated and possibly brought up on criminal charges at that point, saying, this was blatantly civil rights violations, as I've been screaming from the beginning of this entire charade. It's something we're going to see play out. But I feel like almost everything has now cleared up for Trump. Almost everything is on a almost wide open pathway for potential success to return to that presidency in a couple of months here. Okay, Blake, final story here. Agree, disagree that the alternative
stories, right? Isn't there
what was there?
One more. Let me see.
Intelligence officials impeach SCOTUS for the
Democrats will start a war and suspend elections.
There we go. Let's hit that.
Coming off of a Kim.com tweet.
And we already have started 2 wars under Democrat leadership, one in Ukraine and one in Gaza. 2 wars. Democrat deep state leadership.
Right, but they could get boots on the ground and get escalate things in a hurry if they wanted to. It would be with Russia, but Kim.com says, they're importing millions of new voters to the borders, and they want to legalize these immigrants. And the Democrats want absolute power. They will execute this plan by all means. They fear Trump and his revenge, and they fear the American people when the economic collapse hits. The elites, their puppet politicians, and the media propagandists will be pay with their blood for ruining the United States. That's what they fear. So they might be starting a war with Putin because that's then they can suspend the elections, I suppose. In his opinion, the worst is yet to come. So.
Yeah, and we've had elections during wars before. Keep in mind that Zelensky has banned all opposing political parties and jailed dissenters. Like, it is a rogue nation, a absolute dictatorship situation over there. It's antithetical to what the United States stands for, and it's really what they're trying to do here. They've been using the lawfare to really attack President Trump. And it's been very obvious to the point where the Supreme Court has stepped in to say, I don't think you're going to be able to do what it was that you thought you were going to be able to do. Yes, the Trump hammer is out in full force. But yeah, people just keep wondering. It's like, is it going to be UFOs? Is it going to be another pandemic? Is it going to be, I don't know, some George Floyd 2.0? Is it going to be solar flares? Is it going to be a cyber attack to blame Russia? We're attacked by our own deep state to then blame the party that we need to go bomb, or the party's responsible that we need to go bomb. It's just people feel like the other shoe is coming. The other shoe is going to be dropping. But it might just be the case, Blake, that the Democrats have really screwed themselves by ending up in an unwinnable situation where they've exposed themselves, they've overplayed their hand, and they are universally loathed and rejected by the American people, and they're going to be voted into obscurity and prison if there's any justice in this world. So I don't know if anything they do could possibly overtake the fact that this is going to be a second Donald Trump term. It feels inevitable, but it also, we've seen dirty tricks and stunts before, and we're a little nervous. If you were handicapping it, Blake, what do you think the chances are that we have a relatively straightforward next couple of months into a quasi-normal election cycle, short of a massive bank collapse, a massive war event or attack, or some sort of cyber attack, EMP, race hoax, race riot spurned on by the Democrats, lighting the fires and the fuses there?
Well, that wouldn't on the elections, but war would. Yeah, I can see it happening. Yeah, of course. They're going to be. I agree partially with that statement from Kim.com. And they will do anything desperate to stay in power because they fear retribution by Trump and the people, especially when they figured out that they've been lied to. Hopefully the Democrats will come to that side. They'll have their maybe come to Jesus moment, if you will, and they realize, oh my God, we were taken advantage of and lied to by these people. And they're going to be targeting them as well. But they did it to themselves. This is their desperate move. And yes, they could start a war to suspend the elections. Absolutely.
So I'll say this, Blake, I'll give it a 20% chance. 20% chance that we actually, and I think I talked myself into it during this segment, I think there's actually a decent possibility, 1 in 5, 20% chance that we have a normal period of time to a normal election. Would you take the over or the under? More likely to be larger than 25% likelihood that we're going to have smooth sailing to a relatively normal election without the country burning, literally and figuratively.
No, there's nothing going to be normal. We're way past normal. There's nothing. There's no more normal anymore. So that's gone. We'll have to have a new normal.
On the 20%.
Sure.
Got it.
Let's
All
do
right.
it.
Blake takes the under. Put in the comments, do you take the over or the under on 20%? Okay, final story of the day, Blake. The alternative media has been exploited and taken over. Do you agree or disagree with that synopsis?
Man.
Or was it always controlled opposition? Oh.
That could be, too. I mean, I have to agree to an extent. But this is just something that came up. I was looking at a tweet. I've been noticing a lot of David Icke posts recently, very critical of this MAM, as he calls it, the mainstream alternative media. He's been criticizing a lot of people in it. And the latest one, I don't know, he had something to do with Andrew Tate, but he says he took it down. He's not a big fan of Andrew Tate. Either am I. Occasionally I do, but not to get distracted by Tate. It's been a number of different people. He says, what I do care about is the takeover, the exploitation of the alternative media that he helped to inspire into being. We are far too late in the day, far too down the road to dystopia, to be silenced or intimidated by anyone or anything. And then I responded, I said, hey, David, who are the good guys in the alternative media and what can we do to promote them? Because, Brian, I feel like I'm, censored, shunned, ignored, scorned, shadow banned. I'm trying to do the right thing. I'm not in the mainstream alternative media. I'm not in the club. I've been doing this a long time. I think I got a little help in the beginning, 10, 12 years ago. But then for some reason, I don't know, I don't want to go too far into the weeds and all the trying to figure out what happened or what didn't happen. But I've noticed that the alternative media really isn't that well organized. And I feel like if we were really trying to defeat the mainstream media and win this information war, we could have done it if we were better organized like they are.
And let me say this, Blake.
But,
there's the oh geez, I had it on the tip of my tongue and now I can't remember the name of it. It's that legal group that's pushing all of the legislation to push back Patriot America. Doggone it! It was on the tip of my tongue. I knew it, but they have organized actually, and they're the ones bringing a lot of these cases to the forefront. They have actually started organizing to kind of push to get the constitutional limits and restrictions back from the overreach of politicians. I forget, America First legal group. I think that's what it's called, right? America First. They've organized the lawfare campaigns to attack the attackers. Enough of sitting by passively and idly. Unite. It's like when Ben Franklin helped set up the fire department of Philadelphia. It's like if everyone pays your $5 or your 50 cents, whatever it is, and you put your fire badge on your street address, if there's a problem with that house, you go ahead and put the fire out. But it takes everybody chipping in a little bit, and then the whole area is covered and funded. But if everyone's not chipping in, you're not going to have a chance to do that. And I think where America First Legal Group has started to chip away at a united front against the fires in Philadelphia or a united front against the lawfare attacks of the deep state Democrat Party, you're seeing victories on that front because they have connected together. I guess the next part of that would be, where is that in independent media? Why is there no unifying force in mainstream alternative media or non-lying legacy media, non-propaganda? Where is the unifying badge that signifies we're all in this together? Attack one of us.
Are we, Brian? Are we all in this together? Do you feel like we're all in this together?
It's a great question. I think some people are overlapping.
You feel like you're in the club, right?
I think a lot of people overlap on many of the key issues.
That's true.
And it's like maybe you don't have to agree on If there's 20 key components of the issue, maybe you get 17, maybe you get 5. I feel like you should just link arms on the ones that.
Right. Do you think the alternative media is doing a good job of, working with all of the people they have and putting the best talent forward and putting forth an organized effort to, take down the legacy media? Or do you think that there's a lot of egomaniacs or a lot of people that are in it for themselves, or perhaps they're provocateurs, perhaps they're controlled opposition, perhaps they're just in there to, sell things, sell supplements, or who knows? I don't know what everyone's different agenda is, but there's been some criticism and some backlash towards this sort of new emergence of the mainstream alternative media, and not every voice is being represented. I don't know. This was a military operation? Is this the way you'd go about it? Would we do the same thing over if we had to do the last 10, 12 years over again? Would we keep the same people in place? Or would we be able to do anything about it anyway? Kind of beholden to some of the top voices.
That's actually the comment that Kenneth would just put out there. He said, I still like and pray for that military thing. And that military thing being some sort of military justice. Imagine an outcome where there is justice, where people who have committed treason, who have sold our secrets, who have sold our supplies, who have sold our resources, who have sold our country out, who have looted money stolen from and just shoved tens of thousands of people into early graves without any care. Imagine justice for people that have done monstrous things. Imagine Fauci having to have a day in court to answer for what he did. Imagine Biden while he's still with us. Let it be known that we caught him and we're not happy with any of it. Same to Obama, same to Clinton. I mean, just imagine a world where that happens. Imagine a military outcome. Are things functioning in the mainstream alternative media? Look, there's a
bunch of ragtag different rebel factions doing their own little thing, but not everybody's working as a unified collective, not by any means. I think if we had been all this time, this should have been an easy victory for the rebels. The forefathers were a lot more on the same page. I don't think they just, pretend. I don't think it was as disorganized as it is now. They had, the Minutemen, and they had their secret meetings. I don't think there was a lot of I don't know how to articulate all of this and try to make the example. I'm trying to make an example of if this was a sports team. If we wanted to put the best football team together, who would be on it, or who would we put our best talent, or some of the people that are up there just because of who they know or who they have connections with. It's complicated, and we don't have a lot of time to flesh this out, because I'd like to. I'd like to just have been playing strategist the whole time, trying to get people on the same page and having organized efforts to combat the mainstream media and all the junk that they put out. But it's not, the alternative is not at all what I thought it should be. It's the way things ought to be, the way things are. And we've been dealing with the way things are, which, there's been some victories, but it hasn't always been smooth, we'll say.
Yeah, I just watched a movie with, you referenced George Clooney. I just watched this a couple days ago. The Boys in the Boat from last year. Do you remember that one? I don't know if you did or not, but it was a story about during the Great Depression, there were members of a rowing team at the University of Washington, and they ended up in the spotlight competing for gold in the 1936 Olympics in Berlin. That was that one, the 30s Berlin Olympics, the famous one. But yeah, as you were talking about the mainstream alternative media, there's a visual representation of, say, in that movie, I forget how many people in that boat, and you have a captain kind of keeping their pace going, and he's barking orders at him, whatever. However many people in that team, 8 people, 6 people, whatever. Imagine them in the same boat using all of their energy in the same motions, the same timing. There's no veering off course. It is just fixated, directed, efficient use of energy and just laser fast. But mainstream alternative media is just independent boats. Everyone's just kind of swimming and paddling, and everyone's kind of doing their own thing. A couple people have yachts, a couple people have, pretty fancy speedboats, and some people are just kind of paddling on trash like your Jack at the end of Titanic, trying to hold on to a door before you freeze. But you cross the Delaware when you have to, and you just kind of cross however you can with what you got. So it really feels like all hands on deck. We're taking in a bunch of water, and we're just trying to make sure we keep afloat long enough to save ourselves from a fourth Obama term here, because it's just monstrous how so many of these normal American strategies and techniques have just been thrown to the wind. And it really just does bring you back to the question, after watching Biden with his glitch after glitch, who is controlling this country? That guy's not in charge. He's not in charge of himself. That guy needs to retire and ease his way out to the old folks' home. But they're not letting it happen. And there's something really grotesque about that, something really wildly dangerous as we instigate a nuclear World War III potentially. So 20%. What do you say, viewers? Final question of the day. 20%. Is it more likely than 20% that we have a smooth sailing relatively until the next election? Or is it 4-to-1 odds that it's just going to be a complete chaos show orchestrated to just spark a civil war and shut down the power supply and launch the sleeper cells and whatnot across the country? So leave your comments for us, and we will continue that conversation offline and all the platforms that we're on. So awesome. Blake, any final words on your way out the door? And of course, let people know about your Toxically Masculine Tuesday show tonight with Mike Barra and a couple of people now, right? Your lineup has expanded. There's more voices on that show.
Right. So it's been me and Mike Barra of Ancient Aliens and Dr. Brooks Agnew. And then we've added Steve Doran, who's the trail boss. Interesting character. So yeah, you can check that out. That will be at 9 p.m. Eastern time tonight, every Tuesday night. So we'll be talking about the latest news in current events as well. So yeah, thank you all. Thanks for participating in this show. And we'll continue to flesh that one out, Brian. I'm always interested to see how do we gonna get the right people and putting the best team forward for the alternative media.
Well, you know how it starts. How it starts is our awesome listeners that enjoy our content. Every time, like you said, any way you could share our content and invite your smart friends to, hey, could you like our friend's X account? Can you like their Facebook page? Can you like their Rumble feed? Can you like their YouTube? Sharing the content definitely helps. Blake's been starting to make some more bite-sized pieces, and I'm gonna try to duplicate that and send those out. And yeah, your efforts to multiply our message is huge, because we got a few months left, and I think we are good voices that should be in the mix. We're definitely worthy of being in those top 50 voices of thought leaders, really trying to break down what's happening and kind of disseminate the misinformation and disinformation, the blatant lies and gaslighting from what's likely to be probably true. And we just continue an ongoing, evolving conversation about that. So yes, Blake, Ladies Toy Walley. There he is, folks. Yeah, follow him. He's at TV's Blake Walley and The Next Level News. And of course, on Cash App, $ Blake W99.
Stop. All right, yo. All right.
Final words, Blake.
That's it. I guess, stay tuned. We'll have another show Thursday. Thank you, Brian. Thank you, everybody, for being here, for your love and support. And we'll catch you next time. Sounds good.
All right.
Thank you, Brian. Yeah, nextlevelnews.com and TV's Blake Walley. And got quite a ride this year. So.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we're trying to figure out what's going on with Milwaukee. Well, stay tuned, folks. Stay tuned. Blake, we'll talk later. To be continued. You have a good evening, sir.
All right, you too. See you later. Bye.
All right, there he goes, everybody. TV's Blake Walley. Join him tonight on his upcoming episode of Toxically Masculine Tuesday. So there you are. Okay, so like I said, my name is Brian Engelman. I gave you the Cash App right there. Make sure Blake W99. It's $ Blake W99. If you want to contribute on Cash App. If you want to support the New American Media, there's a couple ways. You can go to patreon.com/the New American Media. You can sign up for like a $5 monthly sponsor, or $15 a month, or $100 a month, or $1,000 a month. If you really like what we're doing and want to make a huge difference, that all matters. Or as Kenneth likes to say, go on Venmo and do at Brian Engelman, BrianEngelman, if you want to support what we do in independent media. Also, the places that we are, I mean, YouTube used to be the anchor. It was the cornerstone of what we built the New American Media upon. And we're rebuilding some components to it. But yeah, 1,400 videos later, check out what we've done in the past decade and a half over there. The New American Media, what is it? YouTube.com/The New American Media. All of those videos are put in duplicate. So if you don't have an Odyssey account yet, ODYSEE, I would encourage it. It's a nice backup video sharing site. So everything that the New American Media puts on YouTube, if they later delete it, doesn't matter. That episode will be on Odyssey forever, for as long as Odyssey is a thing. But then our third site for video dissemination of product, that would be Rumble. And Rumble is maybe one of my favorite platforms, if not my favorite platform right now. So if you'd be so kind, just quickly right now, tap on your Rumble browser. I don't know, click on the icon or go to rumble.com. Go to the New American Media on there and click subscribe. Watch a couple of shows, like some shows, let the advertisements play. That's a way to toss some ducats, some pennies into the wishing well. Really with no effort on your part other than just letting commercials play. Walk in the other room and make some coffee. Make some oatmeal. By the time you get back, you toss 2 pennies into our wishing well. But it really does make a difference, and I appreciate Rumble for existing. Also, I think we're just about ready to do the blue check mark thing on X. They took away our analytics function, and I'm not a fan of that. But is it going to be effective? I think it's probably time to support Elon. I appreciate what he's done to restore free speech on the X platform. And on that platform, we are at American_media_. That's at American_media_. That's going to be an important place to really follow us. It's probably where the majority, the bulk of our viewers during the live show come from. Something about the Facebook algorithm is not letting the show transmit over there, and we're working on it. But please support us on Rumble. Spotify is where our podcast is, spotify.com, and search The Agree to Disagree Show. You can also find our sports show, The Unhappy Hour Sports Show, on a day where Donovan Mitchell has re-signed with the Cavaliers, 3 years, but it's a 2-year player option, so it's a 2-year deal, keeping him in Cleveland for 1/5 of a decade more. That's good, at least 1/5 of a decade more. Spida is a very good player, and we appreciate that. So those are the 2 podcasts on Spotify. Also, Truth Social. That's a nice backup account for us. We don't have a lot of traction over there. We really just kind of use it as a place to post our content after the fact. If you want to check out our shows and original interviews and documentaries that we've made, make sure you're following us on Truth Social, The New American Media. On Facebook, we have a page, The New American Media, and we have groups. Search TNAM, TNAMs, _S, the Agree to Disagree Show. So the biggest group for this show is TNAMs, TNAM_S, the Agree to Disagree Show. It's a private group, and they say, how did you find us? Say, Brian invited me at the end of one of his shows. Also, TNAM Food and Drink, TNAM Humor, TNAM Grow Something. There's a lot of special interest groups that we put content out all day. Awesome people in these communities, in these groups. So join them on Facebook. Instagram, we have a page, The New American Media. Follow us there. And Telegram, TNAM and TNAM Chat, TNAM and TNAM Chat. So yeah, that's how you find us. All the things that we have to offer. I want to thank you for joining us today. We'll be back on Thursday. Inconceivable. How did I do? How was my inconceivable? Was that an okay impression? I think it's okay. I haven't watched it recently enough to retrain my interpretation of it. I don't know if it's a little nasally or if it's spot on or not, but inconceivable. Yeah, I want to do something with unkamalified for the position. I'm going to write that down. I really think that's unkamalified for this important position. Okay, he gave me a good. All right, maybe it could be a little polished up, and maybe it could be a little keyed in, but it's good. I'll take good. I'm fine with good. Thank you for good. That works for me. All right. So I'm going to sign off for now. We'll be back as close to 3 o'clock as possible next week. Yeah, definitely trying to reconnect my restream on Facebook. Set us back about 10 minutes today. But we try to stay as close to the 3 o'clock as possible. Do a 60 to 90-minute show, and we're ending today right at 90 minutes. So right in that wheelhouse. Good times. Thank you so much. I appreciate all of you guys. Unkamalified. Okay, so you like Unkamalified. Thank you, Jane Meyer. Is Jane saying that my inconceivable was excellent or that Kamalified was excellent? Oh, now you got me thinking about Kamalified chicken. They're not Kamala fried, Kamalified. But it really is an unmitigated disaster that Kamala Harris is anywhere near a position of power. She is unlikable, awful, just cringy, just a cackling hyena. So we'll see. It really is the Los Angeles Clippers. Their previous owner is out. Donald Sterling is done. He's dead man walking. And the vultures are circling, looking to snap up a franchise. There's only, how many franchises are there in the NBA? 28, 32? That's what's happening for Biden right now. The vultures are circling. Jane Meyer saying both. Thank you, Jane. You're a good friend. We appreciate you. Oh, send a special shout out in case she's listening. Even if she doesn't listen, let's just send our good energy, our good vibes over to our good friend Jocelyn over there in Sedona. Prayers to you, healing, good vibes, and energy over there. We miss you in our live chat, but you are in our thoughts. So heal up, get good, get strong, get healthy, get back to joining us, because you always make the shows really insightful. Whatever topic we do, Kenneth is great for the jokes, and really to just sit and write jokes all day in real time, like that's fun. That's a skill, and it's a sharpening. Iron sharpens iron, but it's like any exercise. The more you exercise, the more you are comfortable in doing that. And so, yeah, not cracking jokes nonstop, that's tough. And it's fun. It makes it so much better. And Jocelyn, like adding all the, well, remember when this happened in 72, they're also saying that she's always just so many facets to each story. And when my main remembrance, the favorite thing I love about when Jocelyn leaves her comments is just whatever angle we're taking, she adds a little complexity to it. It's like if you get guacamole, but then they put like a little part on top where it's like that is that cojita? No, not cojita cheese, but it's like that white. Is it like a white cheddar? You know that cheese that goes on the baked bean on the refried beans, or maybe they'll put a little they'll put like some pomegranate seeds. Don't knock it until you try it. I thought it was awful, but like that tangy burst of the pomegranate seed popping with the avocado dip chip, it's pretty great. Don't knock it till you try it. But yeah. Anyway, I digress. Jane Meyer, welcome. You guys are great. Well, thanks. That's so nice to hear. We try. We try to have fun. We try to be honest. We try to just say, look, if we all consume all sorts of content throughout the week. Of course, Blake and I can't speak to you, the lovely listener. I don't know per se how much content. Okay. All right. How about that as a question while we got you? How many hours of news and current events content do you consider on a weekly basis? 7 days a week, 24 hours a day, 7 days. In 1 week, how many hours do you think you spend in cumulative consuming for news, current events, breaking news? Yeah, we'll do that, and we'll kind of separate that from like watching Netflix to watch a baking show, or to there's a dating game or some game show or something, or you're watching a football game. That's different. I mean, for like news and current events content, how many hours do you put in? So Kenneth puts 2 comments and he says, for my age, and then he says 65. So now I'm wondering, Kenneth, are you saying your age is 65, or you're saying that 65 is 65 hours worth of content per week? So the reason I'm asking is because I don't know the number. I like to ask questions I don't actually know how to answer myself. Kenneth says he doesn't watch lamestream media, only truther stuff. Yeah, I mean, that's how most of us are. We've tuned out. They don't have an audience. They know they're being lied to and gaslit. Like, people don't watch that stuff for real. It's patently obvious when we're being scammed. But yeah, I mean, there's probably there's probably a list of 10 to 15 that I will regularly rotate through the heavy rotation. The got me rotation at rock and roll stations, and I just do not got the patience to deal with some cocky Caucasians who think, yeah, that's an Eminem run right there, but 10 to 15 in heavy rotation, like on the rock and roll stations. There's songs that are in heavy rotation, certain time slots you play from a select group that it's like, we're going to pump these. The rest you can kind of dance around and play some more obscure tracks. But the stuff they're promoting, that gets out there a certain number of hours each week, regardless. That's being heavily promoted for many reasons. Payola still, amongst the top of them. There was some legislation on payola. I don't know the answer. There's some days I'll consume content all day. Sometimes I hit the same, 2 to 10 hours. And that's a wide range, obviously. But then there's sometimes I do a digital detox. Then there's some days I have really heavy days. I feel like this is like a tampon ad. For heavy days of news, I like to rely on TNAM for heavy days. It's just more comfortable getting what I need from a source that I can trust. That's why I depend on TNAM. Can someone please turn that into a goofy commercial for like a Tampax or a maxi pad commercial? That's why I choose TNAM. They're reliable. They're there when I need them. And doggone it, makes me feel good. Makes my day a little better. That's the type of partnership I'm looking for. Kenneth is saying me, that's his age. Oh, okay. Let's see. Jane is saying alternative news. She does about 20 to 30 conservatively. Yeah. When I'm in routine mode, I kind of have a rhythm of when I check different platforms and when I go into Exflare mode. I will. You got to follow us on Instagram. Instagram is a low-key, underreported, under-advertised, underutilized platform of ours. But if you follow our daily stories, man, you're gonna get a nice representation of what's going on. And the point is, I like to give you bite size. If you're on Instagram and we share, those stories are 20, 30 seconds. And sometimes you click to expand them for the original source and you can watch the 7-minute video, but give you 10 to 20 stories. If you have 5-10 minutes in your day to sift through our stories and scroll through the highlights, read our commentary on it, just to do a quick overview, that might be enough some days to kind of get you what you need to understand what's happening. And with the Agree to Disagree show as it's currently configured, we do 2-hour shows. I mean, find me a bi-weekly 4-hour cumulative show content creator out there that delivers as much and keeps you as up to date as we do. There are 30-minute shows that could happen each day, 30, you're up to 3.5 hours, half of 7 in the work week. That's pretty similar. That we try to distill the equivalent of 7 30-minute shows into 2-hour shows. Sometimes we're an hour 15, we're at an hour 40 right now. But we want to be bang for your buck. Yes, we wander off and tell jokes and tell tangential stories, and I think we're getting a little off track here. Blake's the king of wanting to stay on track, and I'm the king of bloviating and rambling because, like I said, my favorite pastors growing up, they wandered you through their daily experience. They connected you to a story that's related to this, and they kind of walk you back and show you, it reminds me of that for this reason. And I think there's helpful nuance in that. So, like, I don't know that I'm ever going to be rapid fire news guy. I could. I'm capable of doing it, just delivering 60-second sound bites. I could do anything I want. But this is what's currently comfortable for me. So we're glad that you find value and fun out there in that. Jane says she consumes no lamestream media either. It's myself and Blake. Thank you. Also Mike Barra and Jen, Praying Medic, and a few others. Kenneth says there. Oh, I might as well just show you these. Why am I not clicking these? Kenneth saying there are mainstream people out there that don't question things. Maybe it's not that they don't question things. Maybe it's just that they only read scripts. They're only script readers. You're looking at it as they are not doing something positive. And I'm saying that they're not adding something superfluous. Now, we're both right, and it's just a kind of a matter of perspective. Do journalists, should journalists, must they take questioning narratives as a necessary component to their job, or are they simply script readers? You know, you type it into AI and you say, give it a lady's voice. Make that lady's voice British. Make her 20-something and a little more sultry. No, not that kind of vibe. Let's give her an old world wisdom component to that English accent. Oh, let's add more distinguished characteristics. Done. Press play. AI will give you a voice reading. You see it on social media all the time now with all the Opus clips and these little things. You type the text and they read it back like there's a real person giving you this feedback. No, they're just reading the script. And that's all these people are. So yeah, journalists and script readers. There's some overlap. Kind of saying Facebook only for now. Oh, good. I reminded Jane to do something. Thank you so much. See, this is for Blake, who's like, why do you say this on every show? Why? It's like, because no people, I mean, my favorite people could be doing things and I lose track of them. It's like, if you don't ask them for it, you're not going to get it. It's like Blake's uncomfortable asking for money. That's fine. I'm not. Go to Patreon, the New American Media. Yo, buy me a cup of coffee. I'll say it because I'm working for free. This is PBS. You know, we're creating content with the support of viewers like you. But it's like the Wayne Gretzky quote: "You will miss 100% of the shots that you don't take. If you don't take a shot, who are you going to blame for your lack of results?" So I'm going to put it out there that it would be great to recoup some of the many thousands of dollars in operating costs to go to these events in the Bronx, in DC, the conventions, maybe Milwaukee, who knows? But like, it's helpful, and I'm going to say it, doggone it. So yes, to Blake, look at this. Jane Meyer says, I'm signing up with you guys on Truth, and then Rumble next. Blake, this is for you, buddy. Doot, 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 doot. Tink, tink, tink. If I wouldn't have just said, please subscribe to the New American Media on Truth Social and the New American Media on Rumble, we would have missed out on Jane connecting up with us on these very important platforms. So that's cool. I'm so glad. So glad you are. And please, like Blake said, the best way you can help us is share our content. So yes, any friends you could just, imagine taking 10 minutes and just clicking the link to like join our Rumble page and just sending it out to like 20 of your favorite people in your feed, where like in your text messages, the people you talk about current events with. Shoot them a text and go, hey, can you do me a favor? Click here and subscribe to their page on Rumble. Can you subscribe to these guys on YouTube? Like that's grassroots. That's word of mouth. And that's the best. So yeah, it's all appreciated. But see, if I didn't mention it today, we would have missed out on Jane joining us on Truth and Rumble. Kenneth saying to be seen in collages in the future. Yes. Not to be confused with to be seen in colleges in the future. Is it collages? Collages? Collages or colleges? Now I'm thinking about collagen. I mentioned Eminem, and it's like I sit back with this pack of zigzags and this bag of this weed that gets me the shit needed to be the most meanest MC on this earth. But since birth, I've been cursed with this curse to just curse and just blurt this berserk and bizarre shit that works and it sells and it helps itself to relieve all this tension, this sense, and this eating me. Yeah, and this stress has been eating me recently off of this chest, but I rest again peacefully. Wait, but at least have the decency in you to leave me alone when these freaks see me out in the streets when I'm eating or feeding my daughters to not come and speak to me. I don't know you, and no, I don't owe you a MFing thing. I'm not Mr. InSync. I'm not what your friends think. I'm not Mr. Friendly. I can be a prick if you tempt me. My tank is on empty. No patience is in me, and if you offend me, I'm lifting you 10 feet in the air. I don't care who was there and who saw me and saw me or call you a lawyer and file you a lawsuit. I'll smile in your courtroom and I'll buy you a smile in your courtroom and buy you a wardrobe. I'm tired of arguing. I don't mean to be me. It's just me. I don't mean to be mean. It's just all I can be. It's just me because I am whatever you say I am. If I wasn't, then why would I say I am? Whew. Blah. You might be surprised at the things I cannot instantly remember, though. Although I've never karaoke that song. That would be damn near. Maybe that should be on my bucket list. I should karaoke that song. I Am by Eminem. That would be a fun one, actually. Jane Meyer says, cute cat. What's his or her name? Is he still, was he here? He was here a second ago. You were looking at Gray Cat. That is Nimbus, Nimbus. Named by the cumulonimbus. No, it's from the Nimbus 2000 or 3000 or something from Harry Potter. Yeah, Nimbus. He's a buddy of mine from a long time. Saved from the mean old streets in Los Angeles. It was a great opportunity to, I don't know. LA was something else, man. And I'm forever going to miss LA. And I'm forever going to be grateful and thankful for so much of LA. It's weird that it's done. I don't know that it really is done. It's done in that version of what it was for that period. I mean, I do still theoretically have a developmental deal with BBC. I could put the Sizzler reel together. I could pitch it to the person there, and they could license the show for me, and I could be back right out there in Brentwood, by UCLA. I don't know. I don't know if I'm done in LA. I'm done living there in the capacity I was living there in that neighborhood. That version of me has concluded. Man, a lot of good stories there. Jane says, you and Blake are like having a couple friends over for pizza. That kind of vibe. Love it. You're professional, but also fun. That is great. We got to edit that part out. Can somebody timestamp that? What is that? 1 minute, 47 second. I'm sorry, 1 hour, 47 minute, and dial it back 30 seconds, about 10 seconds. So can somebody clip that into like a shareable advertisement on X for why you should be watching the Agree to Disagree show on the New American Media? Why should you be watching the Agree to Disagree show on the New American Media? Well, it's because Brian and Blake are like having a couple of friends over for pizza. That kind of vibe. Love it. You're professional, but also fun. Watch the Agree to Disagree show on the New American Media because the old American media has failed you intentionally. That's awesome. Thank you for those kind words. All right. Let's wrap up your thoughts here, Kenneth. Question mark. Talkative? Yeah, we're talkative? Who knew? Who knew? I knew. That's who I am. Mike B, yes. Okay, Jane is saying, yeah, Jen, there's a couple Jens and Jennifer Falad Doring. They check out. Excellent. Kind of saying Blake is humble. Humble Blake. Take that B. Show the comment on the side. What, that comment? Or take that B? Oh, Jane is saying she posts the link to some of the shows in Mike's Telegram chat often. That's cool. Thank you. Yeah, I don't know exactly what that looks like. Let's never spam anybody else's show with our show. But like if it's in the context of what's appropriate and acceptable and appreciated, then yeah, absolutely. Do all that. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I want to have Mike on our show. We need to invite him on. Someone invite him on. I have so many things going on. It's like, how do I add another show? But like, we need to do it. We need to get back to, if you look back on YouTube, the New American Media, I mean, we did these shows, the guests we had calling us every week, the people we were keying in, it wasn't just Blake and I running through the news. Like it was sit downs with really cool voices, really, a lot of people you're familiar with and you appreciate. I really do need to get back to getting some people on the show. Yeah, maybe we'll get Mike Barra. That'd be fun. I think I was on his show the day after January 6th. And I think my vibe was just a little less pro-Trump than he was anticipating. I was just angry. I was like, what was this? I just got tear gassed. I didn't like that. And they're covering an event for media and it turned into a debacle. But yeah, I think it'd be fun to have him on. Nimbus, he's beautiful. Nice, the kitty. Jane has 5 cats. Yeah, TNAM Animal Rescue, if you're on Facebook. TNAM Animal Rescue. Very big. We did 135 TNR, trap, neuter, return cats. And we were able to find permanent homes for roughly 40 of them. I think I had 9 at one point, fostering several. I'm down to 2 cats now. But yeah, the opportunity to help that neighborhood and to spay and neuter the cats and to get them into loving homes, to really help injured cats that were not going to make it without our assistance, like one with mange, one with a massive abscess, several with bite marks and wounds that were infected, and that we'd have to. I became like a street veterinarian, like Morris. Morris was my skittish but loving outdoor Garfield cat, orange and white, on the back porch. And yeah, on more than one occasion. I mean, he had puncture wounds. I don't know what bit him. Yeah, poor, I don't know. Eventually, like, it's a tough life out there for these guys. Some of them you could bring in and turn into indoor cats, and some are just meant to be outdoor, occasionally inside. But yeah, you'd have to get the razor clippers out and get rid of all that hair, and you have to get the hydrogen peroxide, and you have to clean out these wounds and treat them and put antibiotics into the wet food. And I mean, it was a lot. That mange cat, oh, it looked like Yoda. I called it Yoda. And then when Yoda turned into, it was like all crusty and gray, and it turned into this gorgeous girl cat, all black. Got my neighbor adopted her, called her Cleopatra. So from Yoda to Cleopatra. So yeah, Jane has 5 cats, and yeah, find that Facebook group, TNAM's. What is it? I'm sorry, TNAM Animal Rescue, TNAM Animal Rescue, and share all your favorite cat stuff. Kenneth's on Facebook. Are you in TNAM Animal Rescue? And Jane, are you on Facebook? Are you in TNAM Animal Rescue? Lost Angelost. Wow, you did it double there. I usually call it Lost Angeles, but you did Lost Angelost. That's kind of okay there. Okay. Jane saying Mike's good with it. Okay, cool. Yeah, as long as everybody's cool with spamming the show, so let's spam that show. Thank you so much. Kind of saying all the time, comment on the side. Do we have the comment on the side now? Wait, hold on. Oh no, that's the chat overlay. Oh, that's what we're talking about. The chat overlay you guys want to see. Yeah, I guess when we're tearing through stories and we're already his face, my face, and the third screen on the screen, it's tough to have 1/3 or 1/4 of the screen already grayed out for chat overlay. But yeah, I like that. Jane saying there's a special place in heaven for people who care about animals. I think that's true. Look, I also being respectful with hunting and fishing and being respectful to the ecosystem as much as possible. I mean, we're carnivorous creatures. Like, it's a fine line to caring for animals and then eating a steak. I mean, I get that. I understand there's a dynamic shift there, but also, yeah, I think there is a special place in heaven for people that care for animals. And I think people that are abusive to animals intentionally, you're really getting an insight into somebody's soul. Really say people put shopping carts away, people that abuse animal, or like there's certain things, how you treat your waiter, how you act when you golf. I know that's a big one. How you act when golfing. I remember golfing, dating a girl that I intended to marry, and went on a trip and played golf. And I was very cognizant. I was very aware. Yeah, I took my risks. I took my big shots. I hit some balls that were pretty ill-advised. But I lived with the consequences, and I gave myself a 13 on hole number 7 if I got a 13. Otherwise, how do I even know what I'm doing? How many shots did it really take? Oh, no, that's a dog leg. You can't go over the trees. You know what I'm going to try to do? I'm going to try to go over those trees. Watch me. And sometimes it works. But yeah, when golfing, like you shouldn't really be lying. You shouldn't really be throwing extra balls in, or within the realm of, obviously, if you're not playing match play or playing hole for hole gambling with someone and lying about it to gain money. A gentleman's game is just a gentleman's game. We're all just out to swing it and walk and have a good time. But yeah, there's insights into the soul that you can get in this realm. Little red flags, little synchronicities, little moments you're supposed to pay attention to and watch how it develops, to try to best understand somebody's personality and persona. So thank you for that. Yes. Kenneth is saying he'll behave. Not if I get my way. Kenneth, you keep being you. I don't care what everybody else says about you. I think you're okay. I've been a bartender for a long time, and I wish I could remember who said that. Everybody's got one-liners. That's the best part. It's just you're in a cumulative one-liner factory, and somebody once told me that. I said, I don't care what everybody else says about you. I think you're okay. That is such a backhanded compliment. So funny. So yeah, sorry, Kenneth, I'm just kidding around. But of course, when you say I'll behave, I'm like, better not behave. Just keep being you. But it's taken all in good fun, I am sure. Kenneth's a cat guy. How many cats do you have, Kenneth? How many cats does Kenneth the cat guy have? If Kenneth the cat guy gave a cat named Gato. Anyway, I don't know what I'm doing. Jane says, how you treat others when no one's watching. Yeah, there's that. Yeah, and they say the same about donations. If you make donations, you're not supposed to talk about it. Now, I get the opposite. It's like if I'm giving awareness to now, of course, I've run charities and I've done large fundraising endeavors in various capacities. I've been parts of them in many different ways. But yeah, they say a lot of things should be done privately. Like you're not supposed to be doing it for your own self-aggrandizement. You're not going to write a check so that people will pat you on the back and go, wow, what a great guy that is. He's such a great guy. But, end of the day, you're writing a check. That's a good thing. Like, so what? Maybe if an article is written about that guy giving a check, then guess what? Maybe that brings awareness to it and somebody else is moved by it and says, you know what? I'd like to participate too. That's essentially what Blake was talking about earlier when we're talking about Biden. It's like they were all willing to gaslight us forever about Biden until it became obvious to everybody that it wasn't going to work. And then it took the first person to openly criticize and tell the truth. And then the second person, third, fourth, fifth, sixth. But somebody has to start the trend. Somebody has to break the ice. Isn't that what they call it? I think they call it opening a set. Or it's also just breaking the ice in the dating scene. Like if you're out and about, how do you begin? How do you initiate a conversation? You're breaking the ice. But yeah, sometimes donations can break the ice for future donations. So, I'm a little less about that. But like, there have been several occasions where I have. Wait, hold on. Let's do this. This is so meta. This is really getting Inception. I was just trying to tell you the story about how on, did I say multiple occasions? Many occasions? I have donated to various things in various capacities, and I've gone out of my way to make sure I don't tell people about it. Knowing the wonderful irony of talking about giving donations and donating time or services to people is me talking about it, which paints me in a favorable light, which totally defeats the purpose. It's tough. I'm just trying to tell the story in this case, though. But yeah, I specifically remember one that I went out of my way extra to stay anonymous, and I just wanted to make sure I didn't do it for the wrong reason. But is it really the wrong reason? If you were moved to do something, you did it, so what? But, let's not make everything about us, shall we? Yeah, so what do they say? Character is what you do when integrity and character is when nobody are watching. Hang on. Character is when No one is watching. What's no one is looking. What's the? I guess that's John Wooden. The true test of a man's character is what he does when no one is watching. I think that's pretty fair. Yeah, how you treat others when no one's watching. Yeah, you pretty much nailed it. LOL, watch me. That's funny. All right. I don't know what you're saying is funny, but I'll take it. What did Kenneth do? No. Kenneth said his deceased friend told him that. What did your deceased friend tell you? No. Or me too. All right, Kenneth says he sees that there's hope for man. That's good. All right. We'll leave it on hope. We'll leave on a positive note. Thank you all for joining us today. I really appreciate the Q&A time. You know, Blake takes off. He's got his regimented routine, and then we kind of get to chop it up. If I had... Yeah, I forgot to maybe prompt you, but I was enjoying just the tangential... Like you said, we're just over having pizza, trying to be informative and entertaining. But yeah, I do also want to add at the end of the shows, like, is there anything that... There's a super big story right now. Actually, I'll leave it on that before I sign out. Are there any particular stories that you feel are very important, interesting, significant, underreported that we should get to? I'll do that in the final segment here before we wrap up today's episode of the Agree to Disagree show. In the meantime, Kenneth's saying that recognition is okay. Yeah, it's like, you know, it's a fine line. Are you doing it for yourself? Or are you doing it? Are you giving to give? Or are you giving to pat yourself on the back and pump yourself up? And I get that. That's a very legitimate critique, criticism, and honest reality of the situation for sure. Kenneth saying he's grateful to the Lord. Grateful to the Lord has changed things. Grateful that the Lord has changed things. Uh-oh. How is it like pizza, Kenneth? AOC photos. All right. Are there AOC photos I'm supposed to be aware of? Is that a big news story? Don't make me Google that. It's going to take me down a rabbit hole, and I got work to do today. Kenneth, I got things to do. All right. I'm going to sign out. I appreciate all of you participating in today's Agree to Disagree show. We'll talk again on Thursday at 3 p.m., as close to 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time as humanly possible. On behalf of Blake Walley, my name is Brian Engelman for the New American Media's Agree to Disagree show, signing